Hi guys, so today we are going to be looking at the pen tool. This is like the most dreaded tool on Photoshop. In fact, I'm going to tell you, I'll be honest with you, I ran away from the pen tool for like 3 years, but it's a very important tool on the Photoshop, and other design applications always come with the pen tool. So it's something that you should learn and kind of get used to it. Just get used to it, right? All right. So what is the pen tool? The pen tool, this is the icon on the pen tool on the toolbar, right? And the pen tool, as the name implies, kind of acts like a pen. So you can draw, but it doesn't work like a pen, right? Because if you want to have something that works like your regular pen, that would be the pencil. I think the pencil is here in the brush section. That is the pencil. You can draw according to freehand, right? And you can also use your brush, but the pen tool operates differently. So the pen tool works with anchor point. So let's select the pen tool. The pen tool works with anchor point, right? And as you can see, we have created one anchor point here. When I create another anchor point, it kind of links the first anchor point to the last anchor point, and then I can, create what I want, right? And when I get to the initial anchor point I started with, it's going to have this circle icon on the pen, right? As you can see, that means I have gone round and back to the starting point. So that makes a complete path. So what is a path? A path in Photoshop is a vector-based outline created with the pen tool or the shape tool, consisting of anchor points and line segments that can be straight or curved, like we are going to see shortly, right? So this is called a complete path because we went from this anchor point and then we went around having 3 other anchor points and then back. So this is a closed path. So you can also have an open path, something that goes like this, and then doesn't kind of complete, right? So this is also a path. So you can turn a path into different things, right? But for now, let's just stick with the functionality of the pen tool before we go into path. Let's create a new layer. So I can create straight lines, right, with my pen tool, right? And I can also create curves, right? I can create curves. So let's have a straight line first, and then let's have the other one, and we are going to make it curve. So how do we create curves with our pen tool? All you need to do is, whenever you click and drag, it's going to bring these handles, right? It's going to give you these handles, and these handles are what creates the curve, right? And so with these handles, you can kind of alter how this curve reacts. So what do I mean by that? Let us pick our direct selection tool with the white arrow. So in this arrow, you have the path selection tool. You have the path selection tool and the direct selection tool. So let's pick the direct selection tool. So this is the tool that we use to kind of work around these handles. These handles, like I said, they determine how the curve behaves. Now, if I want the curve to behave a certain way, right, I just move these handles. So you can either move them around, right, and you can move them away and toward the anchor point, as you can see. And they all have their respective use, right, to how the curve reacts. And we are going to be seeing that when we get to kind of use the pen tool practically. So if, like I said, if you want to work around your anchor point, right, I can click this anchor point now and I can move it using the direct selection tool. I can click this anchor point now and adjust it using the direct selection tool. Why the path selection tool is what you use, right, to move the path. As you can see, I'm moving the path around, and why this tool is very important is because sometimes you would have different paths, right, in one layer, right? So you have different paths in one layer, and then you can move this path, and you can move this path toward another place. So this is very important, and that's why this tool exists. I repeat, while the direct selection tool is going to be used to work around the anchor point, this is what you use to edit the anchor point, right? As you can see, I click and I move. If I want to adjust 2 anchor points or more than 1 anchor point, I click the first one, I hold down my shift key. As you can see, this is blue and the rest are all white, right? So when I hold down my shift key, I can add to my selection of anchor points, right? As you can see, these 2 anchor points are selected and I can kind of adjust them, right? As you can see, I'm adjusting these 2 anchor points, and I can add to my selection of anchor points this anchor point, and then you'd notice that I am moving, I'm moving these 3 anchor points together, right? They are the only stationary anchor points. The rest, this one is the one that is being affected right now. So that is that with the pen tool. Another thing you know about the pen tool is that the pen tool can create paths and it can create shapes, right? So let's go back to the pen tool. So this is a path, right? I'm going to go into what you can do with paths going forward in subsequent classes in future, but for now we are just going to keep it simple so we don't get you confused. And like I said, the pen tool can create path and as well create shape. So this right now is a path, and we can transform this path to a shape by clicking up here. As you can see, we have shape, we have mask, we have selection. So we can turn this path to a shape by clicking shape, and then we can see everything on that layer that we have done have actually become shapes, right? So when we go to our shape tool, we get to change the color, change the properties of the shape. But aside from the pen tool helping us create shapes, let's go back to our pen tool. We can also create mask, and we all know what mask does, right? So that, let's just leave that. But something else that the pen tool can help us create when we have created a path, it can turn the path to selection, and this is very, very important. So when we create the path and turn it to a selection, when we click selection, it gives us this panel that says feather radius, right? And you can either increase the feather radius or leave it at 0, depends on what you want. If you want a sharp, like you want the selection to stay within the confinement of the path you have drawn, right, you leave it at 0. But if you want it to kind of go above, go beyond, shift outward, right, from the path, you increase the feather. So I'm going to be talking about the feather subsequently in future classes, but for now we are going to keep it simple like I said. So let's leave it at 0, and then when we click OK, you can see that the paths have turned to selection. So to work on this selection now, we have to click on a selection tool, any of the selection tools, right? So when we click on a selection tool, we can right click, and then we have the layer via copy, the layer via cut, and all the things that you can do with a selection tool, right? I haven't created a selection, you can also do with the pen tool. So the pen tool has these features because there are difficult cases, right, where you will need to use the pen tool to create a selection to either cut or copy something that may not be possible with your selection tools, right? So this is going to come in handy. Let's delete this layer. Let's go into a practical session using the pen tool. So we are going to start from very easy pen tool behaviors, and then we'll go to more advanced use cases with the pen tool. So first of all, we already know how to create straight lines and corners, right, with the anchor point, but then we do not know how to walk around the curves, and I'm going to show you how to walk around the curve. So this is a love image, a love icon, right? And we want to create a path around this love. So this is how the pen tool behaves. Let's click our pen tool. Let's start from here. So when we click here, right, wherever you click is going to give you a straight line, obviously, right, which we do not want. So to achieve this curve, let's undo this. We have to click somewhere around here and drag. So as we drag, as you can see, I have not left my mouse pad. I'm still dragging to make sure that it gives me the curve that kind of aligns with the boundaries of the love, right? So when I've been able to achieve that, I can leave it, and then I can go to the next point. So you don't want the anchor points to be close to each other, because when you're done, it's going to be shabby, right? So I'm going to just create this and then show you what it's going to look like if we have close anchor points. So because we want smooth curve, and we have curve from this point all the way to this point, so there's a curve, right? So let's just place our anchor point here and draw. So I'm drawing. The more I draw further away from the anchor point from this point, it kind of pushes the curve outward, right? So you would get to master this pen tool. The more you use it, the more you master it. So yeah, we've been able to get that, and we have a curve here. So I'm just going to click on this. So right now we can see that if we put our curve, our next anchor point here, right, because of this handle is affecting this curve, right? So what we are going to do is what we call break the handle. So how do we break the handle? Right, we break the handle by using the option key, right? So if you can see, when I put my cursor on the anchor point, it gives you a different icon. So when I hold my option, it gives you like an inverted V, which means break the handle. So when I click it, it's going to break the handle going to the next anchor point area, which is the left handle now has been broken. It left this because we are done from this and we are going to the next anchor point. So the next anchor point is not going to be affected by that handle because it has been broken, it has been deleted. So now I can click from here and then have a new I can have new handles without it being affected by the anchor point. So we can see that there's something here, right? But we can work on it. We can work on it with the path selection, with the direct selection tool. So from here, right now we are going from here to here, and definitely this handle is going to affect our movement because here we don't need a curve here, right? It's a sharp edge, it's like a corner. So we are going to break the handle and then create our next curve. So when you need a curve and you do not want your previous anchor point to affect your next anchor point, right, you break the handle. Right now we are continuing a curve, as you can see, so there's no need to break the handle. In fact, the handle is going to help us achieve our curve. So while you're on the pen tool, to kind of switch to the direct selection tool, you just hold your command or control, and then you can adjust your handles. So you don't need to always go back to the tool here to get your tool. Just hold your command or control if you're using PC, and then you switch to the direct selection tool, which you use to either adjust the handle or adjust the anchor point. So we can see that this handle is going into the love, and we don't want that, because if we just click here, it's going to go through the handle, as you can see down, and we want it to come from this point. So we are going to break this handle, so this love is a very good it's a very good example to help us see how the pen tool behaves. And now we've been able to create a close and complete path, right? So let's create a new layer, and we can either create a shape or create selection. So let's create a shape first, and let's go to our shape tool and change the color to this. So as you can see, if I click on my move tool, I'll be able to move this around, and we'll be able to kind of use the pen tool to get this love shape. So let's just go back to our empty workspace, and if you want to create shape, right, you don't want to have to create your path first before changing it to shapes. You can just go to this part of your options and click on shape, and so you can choose the color. Let's leave it as blue, and as I draw with my pen tool, it kind of gives me a shape. And that's why you have the pen tool for your use to create custom shapes of your choice, right? And that's why sometimes you see some flyers that people create, and you see really weird kind of shapes. So let's delete this first. So you can see some people create shapes like this. So you can see some people create this kind of shape on their flyer, and so the pen tool can create custom shape. I'm gonna just go over how this pen tool works quickly again, right? You can get corners without pressing anything, like without dragging, right? We have this corner. If we want to create a corner from this point to this point, we have a corner here. If we want to create another corner, we can create another corner. So but if we want to create from this corner, I want to create a curve, right? We click and drag, right? And if we want to create a curve between this corner and this corner, from this corner and this corner, so we can we can just click and drag, and it gives us. So when you click on the pen tool, you are going to see a lot of them, right? The one I'm going to be touching is this. convert point tool. So with this, right, with this tool, what it does is you can bring out handles from each point. You can bring out handles from each anchor point, so you can just turn corners to curve with this anchor point. So some people like to just create anchor point first, like with straight lines, and then use this convert point in tool to kind of make all the points curved, but whichever works for you. I like to draw my curves as I go. And apart from that, it can also be used to break anchor point, or to break handles, I mean. So yeah. All right, so this is what the pen tool can do, and let's just call this the introduction to pen tool. So we have this shape, and this is going to be your assignment. So you are going to pick two shapes out of this 9 shapes, and then what you're going to do with them is you are going to create, make sure you have your new layer, and then you draw your path on your new layer. Then just create a different color of shapes out of what you have. So you can always zoom. While you use your pen tool, like I usually like to do. Zoom in and use your pen tool so you can see the curves very well. You have a lot, so you can pick the easiest one. All right, see you in the next class. Bye.